All right, as we were last week, we're going to be joined by my good buddy from Elite City Gaming. It's Saris. Saris, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. Tea.
What'd you say?
Sorry. I've just got a cup of tea and it's really hot.
You are so British. Like, you telling me that you got a cup of tea is unnecessary. I already know. I know you have a cup of tea. It's like, I think it's in your version of the... What is it? The Declaration? No, not the Constitution. That it's like all Brits must have tea on them at all times, or at least a tea bag in some fashion, stuffed in some pocket in some corner of some jacket.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you ever have any shame about just how British you are? Like, does it ever bother you?
No, I'm proud of it at times.
Right, I
Other
understand.
times I'm not.
What are those times? Let's talk about that. What are those times?
Well, there's the whole, the fact that most of my country at the moment seems to be racist.
Really?
Even though we went around the world and colonized people.
Well, you tried to make, but you tried to make them all white.
Yeah, we tried to make.
There's that little bit of it that's very important.
we tried to make them British. Now they're in our country. Now people want them out of our country, but we're like, they're not very British. And it's just like, but we technically invited them. Because we said, we are Great Britain, be like us. And they went, well, okay, we'll come see what you're doing. And now we want to get rid of them. It makes no sense.
Well, like, what's the racism going on? Like, is it like white power or something?
It's the whole Brexit thing.
Oh.
Like, getting rid of all the Europeans, pretty much like everyone who isn't British,
well, it sounds more like ethnocentrism than racism.
Well, yeah, and it's just like, hold on, you can't be racist to Europe because, well, as much as we like to say we won the war and you like to say you won the war for us, but
oh shit, we're gonna bring the war up now.
We're bringing wars up
that's where we're gonna fucking go.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, welcome to this wrestling podcast. Please excuse us for the next 20 minutes while we talk about the Revolutionary War.
I'm not talking about that war. I'm talking about the war, the second.
The war, the war to end all. Well, so you can't sit here with an American and be like, we're gonna talk about the war. As an American, hearing your British voice say that, I'm immediately gonna go to the one where we stole the land from you. So it's like, well, you can't talk about World War II as well. The war, well, because we think of that as the war, but we don't think of that with you in the room as the war.
So your Revolutionary War, which was against
that sounds English. Hold on, the way that you said that sounds so condescending. Your Revolutionary War. It was not our war.
Well, the thing is, who was fighting that? Is
the
original
French
settlers,
a lot of
who were English, with the French and the Irish and the Spanish, basically just get rid of the British rule, even though half of the people fighting were British anyway.
Well, hold on, can we talk about this? Because this is a question I've always had. Because a lot of the people, obviously, who are listening to this are going to be Americans, and they're going to grow up with the American teaching of the Revolutionary War. When you're in grade school in England, how do they teach the Revolutionary War? Like, because they probably don't do it the way that we do it.
We don't really do it. We don't care enough.
Holy shit! The shade is blocking the sun right now. I have to turn this light off in here for authenticity. Hold on a minute.
I'll explain the English criteria for history, as it were. So when you're little, you do the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, and then maybe the Aztecs, and then we do medieval England. Some. Like the Victorian age.
Okay.
So like the Industrial Revolution. And then we go straight into World War I and World War II.
So you guys just jump over the fact that you lost like a whole continent?
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes we talk about the Napoleonic Wars, but it's very rare.
Okay.
So all of my bit of that I didn't learn at school. I've learned on my own.
Right. Well, that's a good way to do it. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because see, over in the United States, like the Revolutionary War is like the big deal, right? Like, so you get to that point, and you might spend like you learn about that in what, like 5th or 6th grade. I don't know how they do the rankings over in England, but like 5th or 6th grade is like when you're a young child transitioning into a teenager, right? So it's like around 10,
Yeah.
11. And so they'll spend like a 9-week period, like, because our school system, at least where I went to school, went by like 9-week periods. So like every 9 weeks would be a grading term. You would spend an entire term just on that war. So like we'd watch all the movies, and you have to hear about the songs and the "Twoeth by land, oneeth by sea," and then all the Frenchies came over and they're doing stuff, and it's like, ugh. I don't know what was that last 5 seconds? What was that? Hold on, what was the last 5 seconds I was just doing there? That was horrible. I called them Frenchies, and then I went, ugh. Like, what is that? Who is that for? Who is that for? Because it's not for me. It's not for the audience. Who is that joke for? Is there like one person who's ethnocentric against the French in this chat? Like, aha, my time has come. So like,
yes, all the French are like, ugh.
Yeah, because that's when they meet each other, they don't say hi. They go, ugh.
The French person, ugh.
French is just a bunch of people going, ugh. Okay.
And half of the Canadians.
Oh, don't tell them that. They don't like the French Canadians do not like to acknowledge that they're Canadian and not French. They've legitimately tried to secede from Canada. I don't know how many times now. It's like an ongoing process, constantly just trying to Brexit from Canada. Frexit.
Yeah. Anyway, so as you were saying,
this has been Geography Hour with Swerve and Sarius. But no, it's just like, so you spend so much time learning about that damn war, and then by the time you're done, you just like, you want to run through a fucking wall because you're like, America, farmers killed the greatest army in the world history. Oh yeah. And then the French are like, we also helped. Please remember. And we're like, fuck you, America. So yeah, I mean, it's like a wild roller coaster ride, man.
Yeah, but if you actually look at it properly, I'm gonna air quote here, Americans that were fighting in that war were second generation English, Irish, French, Spanish settlers.
Yes.
So they weren't actually American at all. They were just Europeans.
Right. Well, they were American.
Living in America.
Living in America. All right. There's a copyright law.
There's a bit of a thing with that, is that the final battle, you actually sued for peace in the end, but you didn't actually win that war technically.
Yeah.
Because we sailed up to the river and set fire to the White House. And now that's why it's called the White House.
Well, don't worry, because in 2016 we also set fire to the White House. And there goes half the audience. Bye, guys. We'll see you later. And by half the audience, I mean one person. So, as it were, no, I've always wanted to know how they do that, because it's just the United States is just such a different place in the world. There's nowhere quite like it in the rest of the world in terms of like our schools and shit like that. So, like, I've always been curious.
When you're probably taught about World War I and II, you're probably told about how great, like, you lot did.
Let me tell you about World War II, like, from my memory of learning about it, because I learned a lot of the shit that I know about World War II after, sort of like you said, like way after the fact. But
yeah, what
you kind of learn in school is like there was a war happening, but it didn't matter until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And then it's like, oh, if you fuck America, now you get the D. And then it's like, so the way they teach it in school makes it seem like a day after Pearl Harbor, we just blew up Japan. And then it was like, it's over. No disqualification. I'm going to get in this airplane. I'm going to make it Vince McMahon real quick. Hold on. I'm going to get in this airplane, the Enola Gay, and I'm going to take this American cock, and I'm going to prime it, and I'm going to shove it right up your Nagasaki hole. That's how they make it sound in school. Vince McMahon and all, like, they do it with the Vince McMahon impersonation. It's everything you could ever want.
I need to just come to America and just sit in one of your history classes.
Yeah, because it won't look weird. 6'4", 30-year-old Sarius just in a middle school class.
Just like,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Why did I make you Michael Jackson? What the fuck was that? Hi, I'm Sarius. Don't worry about it. I'm just gonna sit in the back. Although now it's really creepy that I put Michael Jackson in a room full of children. But you know what? Let's just move on. Let's just get to something. Let's just get to something that isn't any of this. Because this is great, but when it gets to the point where I have you looking like Michael Jackson in a room full of kids, we have to move on. There's nothing left. We've destroyed it all.
No.
Remember last week when I said we got derailed? Welcome aboard. We're going off the tracks again, ladies and gentlemen.